The chronicles of the battlefield seldom record moments like this, yet here it is, etched in the air between lightning and steel. In recap, Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, chapter 1871, Ling Han launches himself with unyielding force, fist cloaked in the crackling regulations of lightning, striking at Zhao Qingfeng, the prodigy whose very presence awakens a manic brilliance in battle. The clash is deafening, sparks of pseudo-celestial light carving the arena, yet every strike Ling Han endures seems almost preternatural, untouched by the fury that should have ended him. Observers hold their breath, hearts bound in tension, as the duel teeters on a knife's edge. Will Zhao Qingfeng's murderous genius finally overwhelm, or will Ling Han's hidden might turn the tide and unveil the next stage of his Dao? The answer lies in the violence yet to come, where power and cunning will be tested beyond mortal reckoning. The arena trembled as Ling Han's roar cut through the charged air. With a surge of his formidable legs, he launched forward, his entire body shooting like a lightning-struck arrow toward Zhao Qingfeng. The thunder of his movement resonated with the raw pulse of origin power, as the regulations of lightning surged along his arms and legs. Amplifying his speed to a level beyond mere human perception, he drew back his fist and struck, the blow crackling with the intensity of concentrated thunder. Zhao Qingfeng's eyes flickered with a hint of surprise, not at the strike itself, but at the impossibility of Ling Han's resilience. Though the youth's martial cultivation was not yet on par with his own, not a scratch marred his form. Even a prodigy as cold and calculating as Zhao Qingfeng could not hide a faint, grudging admiration. Here, at last, was a combatant who might awaken the Dao heart he so craved. Zhao Qingfeng's lips curled into a subtle grin. With a fluid motion, his sword rose and sliced the air with a lethal sweep. A cold brilliance poured forth from the blade, intricate Dao patterns flickering across its surface, a pseudo-celestial tool imbued with terrifying intent. The clash erupted as Ling Han met the strike with a shout, pushing his lightning-infused power to its absolute limits. The collision flared in a storm of light and sound, yet even as he was flung back, his body remained intact. His right hand, wrapped in the crackling regulations of lightning, had taken the brunt of the assault, leaving him unscathed by the pseudo-celestial tool's deadly edge. Zhao Qingfeng's eyes widened in genuine astonishment. Previously, a mere flash of sword chi had been trivial for Ling Han to endure, but this was a strike infused with his full cultivated chi of slaughter, an essence meant to rend flesh and spirit alike. Yet the young man stood firm, fist untouched, spirit unbroken. Excitement coursed through Zhao Qingfeng's veins like a tidal wave. At last, a worthy adversary had emerged. To face such unyielding toughness was a rare boon, a gift from heaven itself, sparing him the wrath of Yan Shanlu, while sharpening his own Dao heart to a fine edge. To repay you, I will ensure your death is etched in agony, a memory this world cannot erase. Zhao Qingfeng's tongue traced the edge of his sword as a manic gleam danced in his eyes. His aura surged outward like an unstoppable tsunami, a whirlwind of intent honed solely for slaughter. Here was a man who had mastered the regulations of slaughter to such an extent that thought itself became secondary to the singular pursuit of killing. Ling Han, alert and unyielding, called upon the divine demon sword, channeling lightning through the blade with a roar. Their clash was a spectacle of prodigious martial spirit. The arena shook as sparks of Dao collided in blinding eruptions, each clash ringing with a crisp, ear-splitting resonance. Light turned into violent explosions, and even the protective barriers of the arena strained under the force of their battle. The air itself seemed to hum with the intensity of their combat. Among the spectators, bewitching Maiden Ru's hands clenched into fists, her chest tightening with concern. She had heard tales of Zhao Qingfeng, the prodigy whose madness and skill had left countless peers broken or slain. Though Ling Han's tactical oversights had angered her, a bond had formed between them in prior battles, and she could not bear the thought of his death in Zhao Qingfeng's hands. Yet, the gap between the two fighters was stark, and Zhao Qingfeng's overwhelming strength pressed Ling Han into a perilous position. Anxiety coiled in her chest as she watched, powerless to intervene. Sun Dong's eyes burned with excitement, edged with impatience. Zhao Qingfeng's dominance was undeniable, yet Ling Han remained unbroken. Nearby, Cheng Fengyun shared the same impulse to leap into the arena and tip the scales. but restraint held him back. The young prodigy endured, again and again, rising from each strike as though untouched by mortal limits. This resilience was beyond expectation. Ling Han was no ordinary opponent, and each strike he withstood only sharpened Zhao Qingfeng's bloodlust. The killer's smile widened, cruel and ecstatic. He relished a worthy adversary, a soul robust enough to feel the refining fires of death without succumbing immediately. Each slash of his blade that drew blood, painting Ling Han in streaks of crimson, refined his Dao heart to perfection. He felt the familiar blaze of his own potential, the pathway to the fifth severance opening before him like a gate to untold power. Yet for all the spectacle, Ling Han's mind remained calm, the secret of his might hidden beneath his serene exterior. His body had reached the near-legendary toughness of level 3 pseudo-divine metal, meaning any wound required the force of Yang's soul or greater to truly harm him. Zhao Qingfeng's fifth severance, the supposed pinnacle of his mastery, was not yet sufficient. Ling Han's disadvantage was a matter of circumstance, not weakness. His reliance on the regulations of lightning alone was tactical, a measured restraint. Other, greater powers lay in his grasp, waiting for the precise moment to awaken. Zhao Qingfeng's roar split the arena. Ling Han, if this is all your strength, your blood will spill within 3 strikes. His aura surged to its apex, a god of slaughter incarnate, and his sword trembled with lethal anticipation. Ling Han's humph was quiet, controlled, a testament to his own strategy. He sought to use this duel to open the 4th severance, not expend his full destructive might. The swords clashed again, a flash of blinding light ripping across Ling Han's form. A streak of blood spattered his skin, a superficial wound drawn by the brutal force of Zhao Qingfeng's Pseudo-Celestial tool. Yet beneath the surface, Ling Han's true strength, the indomitable bones forged to 3-star pseudo-divine metal, remained untouched. The strike, though fierce, only grazed him, proof of both Zhao Qingfeng's overwhelming power and Ling Han's legendary endurance. You think I am limited to the regulation of slaughter? Zhao Qingfeng's laughter was cold, cutting through the roar of battle. I am a bronze divine fetus, metal element, my strongest alignment, my most perfected regulation. The compounded might of metal and slaughter filled the arena, an unstoppable torrent of destructive power that challenged every obstacle in their path. His gaze, sharp and bloodshot, swept over Ling Han, brimming with disappointment and desire. You are too weak. I restrained myself all these days for this duel, and you have disappointed me beyond measure. The air hung heavy with the scent of ozone and blood. Lightning danced, swords flashed, and 2 prodigies stood at the pinnacle of martial artistry, one a harbinger of refined slaughter, the other a living bastion of indomitable resilience. The stage was set, and the tempest of their battle would carve legends into the annals of the cultivation world. The grandstands erupted in a sudden, wild roar. The ordinary spectators, who cared little for names or prestige, sought only the thrill of mortal combat, the crimson spray of blood, the harsh clash of flesh and steel. And now, at last, Ling Han's blood had been drawn. That single drop sent the crowd into a frenzy, their voices rising like a storm across the arena. Kill, 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 rang through the air, eyes blazing with a feverish light, madness almost surpassing even Zhao Qingfeng's own ferocity. Among them, Sun Dong could not contain himself, waving his arms as he shouted along, but a sharp slap cut through the chaos, landing squarely on him. Spinning from the force, he blinked in stunned confusion. Holy Sun, why did you strike me? Innocence marred with bewilderment. Lu Xianming's cold snort answered without words. One of superior rank need not explain to a subordinate. Body language alone was law. And yet Sun Dong, clever despite his fondness for women, quickly bowed his head, murmuring hurried apologies, understanding in an instant the warning behind that one slap. The reason itself could wait. Across the battlefield, Cheng Fengyun's excitement reached a fever pitch. Ling Han had been a thorn in his side, forcing the noble young master of the Cheng clan to swallow rocks, slap himself, and run naked. Humiliations unbearable to endure. 10 days of suppressed fury now erupted into elation. Kill, Zhao Qingfeng, kill, he roared, his veins swollen, his very heart seeming ready to burst from the intensity of his desire. Bewitching Maiden Ru fretted in silence, anxious and frustrated. Why has he not admitted defeat yet? Does he wish to die stubbornly? Her mind raced as she watched, tense as the wind before a thunderstorm. Even Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden could not suppress a flicker of worry. Though she knew Ling Han's skill, Zhao Qingfeng's prowess was merciless, capable of felling a man with a single strike. Shantian Wu beside her throbbed with anticipation. Under his brother's strict oversight, he dared not act against Ling Han, yet his hatred had not faded. Seeing Ling Han bleed stirred his blood to a boiling fervor, each pang of suffering igniting his excitement. Shantian Ju, in contrast, observed with a calm smile, restrained, knowing the truth of the battlefield. Zhao Qingfeng's might had eclipsed even the celestial King Tier's holy sons and daughters. Ling Han, at best, was a holy son himself, and to endure this long before succumbing to injury was already remarkable. Even the seasoned masters in the stands nodded gravely, understanding the weight of the spectacle. Zhao Qingfeng's power had reached and perhaps surpassed the peak of the severing mundane tier, a vacuum between it and the dividing soul tier. In this void, the strength on display was almost unimaginable. The crowd's cheers thundered like mountain avalanches, their allegiance instinctively aligned with the elite Zhao Qingfeng. Zhao Qingfeng! Zhao Qingfeng, they cried, voices rising in a single shattering crescendo, as if to tear the very sky apart. Zhao Qingfeng grinned, a predator's menace, leveling his sword toward Ling Han. If you cannot ignite my Dao heart fully, your life has no meaning. Die! With a roar, he surged forward. Scram! Ling Han bellowed in defiance, sword in hand. Lightning danced across his blade, flames roiling within him. The divine sword coursed through his veins as he invoked the regulations of fire, countering Zhao Qingfeng's onslaught. Until now, he had measured his strikes, wielding only the regulations of lightning. But with Zhao Qingfeng revealing his full strength, Ling Han's own true power unfurled, an untamed tempest of martial energy. Boom! Their swords met, and a flash brighter than the sun erupted, expanding into a blinding sphere of destructive light. Shockwaves rippled outward, formations around the arena blazing to block the uncontrolled force. The spectators gaped, hearts seized by awe and fear. This was no ordinary severing mundane tier battle. Ling Han, once seemingly outmatched, now stood aflame with divine brilliance, his body a furnace of celestial fire, turning the tide into a contest worthy of legend. The assembled masters fell silent, their breaths caught in admiration. One short, braided-haired figure muttered in disbelief. This youth, still only a third severance peak stage. Even at such a level, Ling Han had entered the terrifying vacuum between severing mundane and dividing soul, a feat almost impossible to fathom. Could he reach the fourth severance, challenging a dividing soul tier? The whispers among the elders were full of speculation, hope mingled with incredulity. Matching dividing soul tier? Impossible, one elder said. Even Yan Shanlu could not contend with such a being at the fourth severance, only at the fifth. Murmurs of agreement spread like ripples in water, though all shook their heads, knowing the odds were vanishingly slim. Hey, since you all underestimate him, I shall take him as my disciple, the short, braided elder declared. Chaos erupted among the powerful, some vying to claim him as a disciple, others jesting about marriage alliances. The arena became a cacophony of debate, pride, and desire. Zhao Qingfeng, unmoved by the display, only laughed with increasing intensity. Ling Han's strength, his unexpected retaliation, fanned the flames of his murderous heart. Die! He cried, charging, sword swinging in a torrent of millions of sword chi flashes. Born of the metal element divine fetus, he commanded the very essence of metal, bending heaven and earth to his will. Every fragment of metal elements surged as blades, forming a storm aimed to shred Ling Han into dust. Is he dead yet? The crowd whispered, holding their collective breath. Yet in a sudden, magnificent flare, fire erupted from within Ling Han, melting the storm of blades around him. He emerged unscathed, standing proud and unbroken. Gasping in awe, the spectators felt disbelief and reverence intertwine. Who was this Ling Han? A hidden prodigy of a celestial king tier sect, perhaps? Zhao Qingfeng, now truly thrilled, his murderous heart ablaze, lunged with a slash intended to refine, to end, to utterly annihilate. The battle was far from over, and the air itself trembled with the violent poetry of their clash.